to men.
Why should America pray? I think the majority of us are living in apathy to the events that are taking place in America because we're just going on our business and our life, and it really doesn't affect us directly. It may or may not. I also hear, among Christians especially, that God's will be done. And so whatever happens, it's the will of God, and we can't really do anything about it. And if we go down, then we go down as a nation. It's not really up to us. And I want to challenge those views. When Moses leads the people out of slavery and goes up on the mountain to receive the oracles from God, the people make a molten image and begin to worship this image. And God becomes angry to the point that he wants to destroy all of them. And he tells Moses, I will make a nation out of you. But Moses, he pleads with God and says, don't do that. What will the nations say about your great name if you destroy them here in the wilderness? And it says in Exodus that God changed his mind. It's not that God didn't know what he was doing, but we see how one person's intercession for the people and his nation moved the heart of God to retract from judgment and retract from his anger towards the people for their sin. Another example is Daniel. He was exiled to a nation that was completely not his own, and he begins to pray and seek God in prayer and fasting, and for 21 days. And the entire time that he is praying, an angel is trying to reach him with a message of the future of Israel, and he cannot get to him because there are spiritual forces that prevent him from coming in time. And so we see, because of his prayer and his intercession, this message is delivered, and God gives a revelation of the future of Israel, all because one person prayed. We see that as things happen here on earth, there is a realm that we cannot see, that is not a physical realm, it's a heavenly realm. And there's a combat there between forces that are waging war over the events here on earth. The outcome of the events of that war in heaven impact directly the events here on earth. But we see that when the saints pray, they move the heart of God, who is all-powerful, who acts on behalf of his people. I want you to check out an insert from Pastor Jordan Easley's sermon this past Sunday at First Baptist.
The average lifespan of the great civilizations in history is only 250 years, 10 generations. When you go back in history, you look at the great civilizations in all the world, and you got 250 years. To put that into perspective, right now, the United States of America is 248 years old. And when you think about it, America really is living on borrowed time. See, the nation in which we live is a sick nation in many ways. And it doesn't take an expert to look at the landscape of our country and see that we really are hurting in many ways. You know, America is a sick nation. Really, since the 1960s, we've seen the trajectory going in the wrong direction. How many of you were alive in the 1960s? Some of y'all are like, it's hard to raise my hand right now. I was born before then. But did you realize since the 1960s, we've seen a 374% increase in violent crimes in this nation? The world is different today. We've also seen more than a 700% increase in illegitimate births. Did you realize today 40% of the babies born in this country are born outside of marriage? The number of divorces in America have quadrupled since the 1960s. And it really is a staggering thing when you find out that 4.2% of the world's population is America. We make up 4.2% of the people on this planet. And yet 50% of all the divorces in the world happen in our country. Did you know that the children living in this country, that more than triple, we have children living in single parent homes than we had in the 1960s, more than 3 times the amount of children. Did you realize that teen suicides have increased by 426% since then? Abortions in this country have nearly doubled since the 1960s. In fact, in the year 2020, just one single year, did you realize that 930,000 babies were legally aborted on American soil? You say, Jordan, that's a big number, and it really is bigger than you can even imagine. I mean, think about that number. That would be the total population of Nashville, Chattanooga, and Knoxville combined. Imagine if today all of those people who lived in those three cities were completely gone. That's what happened in the year 2020. 930,000 babies were aborted on American soil. Did you realize that America currently leads the industrialized world in murders? Our country does. We lead the world in rapes. We lead the world in gun-related crimes. And it's sad to say, but today you and I are living in a nation that's marked by moral regression and spiritual rebellion. And I'm just here to tell you, if something doesn't change,
it is not too late to make a turnaround. It is not too late for the people of God to seek God's face, to pray, to humble themselves before God, and for God to act on behalf of his people and still bless this country and bless the events that transpire after the elections. Pastor Jordan is inviting his church, First Baptist of Cleveland, and all of you to pray this Sunday, October 5th, for the elections, for the outcome of the elections, and to seek the face of God so that the outcome of the election and the outcome of the events that happen and transpire in America will be to bless this country and nation.